In today's video, we'll be talking about a couple of players that struggled last season. A couple of them have actually been struggling for the last few years, and the other more recently. Here's my short list of players that need to perform in the 2021 season. Coen Hess quickly rose through the ranks and made a name for himself by being a beast impact player coming off the bench for the North Queensland Cowboys. So much so that he would earn a maroon jersey just 2 years into his career. In 2018, he finally became a regular starter for the Cowboys. His on-field presence would sort of deteriorate, I guess that's one way to describe it. Anyway, the tries that we often saw from Hess would stop coming. His game overall, he looked like a completely different player. In 2019, he had another pretty lackluster season where they even played him in the census for a couple of games. I will say this though, the Cowboys in general have been stuck in the mud these past few seasons. That's honestly a whole nother can of worms that we can go over in another video, but despite that, Hess's poor form since becoming a regular starter still stands. After an average 2020 season, he would still get the nod to play for the Queensland Maroons in the end-of-year State of Origin series. That selection got a lot of blowback from public and the media, and in my opinion it was the perfect recipe for Coen Hess to make a statement through his actions on field and have a blinding game. But unfortunately, his performance aided the naysayers and Hess would eventually be left out for the remainder of the series. Hess still has 2 years remaining in his contract at the Cowboys, which gets me to thinking, is this one of those situations where players already landed a long-term deal, they get a little complacent, maybe a little too complacent, that it eventually affects their on-field performance? It's a common thing that happens in life in general, you know, you're grinding your way to get to that goal, and once you hit that goal, you sort of chuck it in neutral for a while. You could probably make the case for each of the players I've selected here today, but at 24, Hess has nothing but time on his side to get back to that destructive form that we grew to love when he first burst onto the scene. Ferg, a player that'll most likely appear on everyone's must perform in 2021 lists, whatever they're calling him. After a glorious run with the Roosters in a year where they would win the premiership and he would be named Dalian Winger of the Year, Blake would shop around and test his value as he should, and he would eventually find a new home at the Parramatta Eels. Many speculated whether or not Fergo would continue to excel at the new club, but those speculations were quickly put to bed after Ferguson would consistently perform at a high level week in and week out. He ended up scoring 10 tries that season and was also a part of the State of Origin series, playing a pivotal role in their success that year. Heading into the 2020 season, I'd say Blake was in my top 5 wingers in the league, but unfortunately for him, 2020 would be his worst season to date. It took him 17 rounds to cross the white line, racking up a total of 4 tries in the shortened 20-game season. It's tough to pinpoint why Fergo was lacking last year because despite his low try rate, he still did all the dirty work that is required of a modern-day winger. You know, the off-the-back fence carries that'll get the boys on the front foot, or if he wasn't getting much ball out wide, he'd go looking for it. Another factor that could be contributing to a lackluster season could be a shared workload with his wingman Mike Acevo, who had a bit of a doozy season himself. Sort of a breakout season actually, come to think of it. Regardless of the cause, it's contract year for Blake, so we may see him return to form. Not only was it a rough 2020, it has been a bumpy last few years for Anthony Milford. After a brutal grand final loss in 2015, Milford has struggled to find consistency, all while occasionally showing flashes of brilliance. What makes matters worse is that he is a part of the worst performing Brisbane Broncos team in the club's existence, who, as we all know by now, finished dead last in 2020. Oh man, that cuts deep. So he played 13 out of the 20 regular season games, racking up a total of 4 try assists, 5 forced line dropouts and a single try. Stats considered below average, especially considering what he's on at the moment. I believe he's one of the few $1 million men running around in the league. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. And as much as I love Milford, I won't be bailing him out with the whole "he's on a bad team" excuse. Poor form is poor form, you know? I mean, just look at Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. For the last 5 years, he has been top 3 overall, not position, overall. Top 3, one of the best players in the league. And he's performing at that level for the Warriors. I mean, they're not exactly 2020 Broncos bad, but still, that's my personal opinion. Or call it an odd take, or maybe a hot take. All I'm saying is, before we get sidetracked, Milford's contract is nearing its end, and I believe we'll get either a Dally M 5/8 of the year type performance this season from Milford, or we could be seeing the last of Anthony Milford in the Brisbane Broncos colours. Now that's a hot take. And so that concludes this week's, I don't even know what to call this series, but expect more of this type of content because you guys were really messing with the last one. I know there's a crap ton of other players that need to perform this upcoming season, like the last video. Drop some names in the comment section and let me know. As always, if you're new around here and are into rugby league, union, gaming, or have a third leg the size of your right leg, go ahead and drop your boy a cheeky little sub to keep up to date with the content. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you. Later.
That's my team. Loyalty over everything. That's my team. That's my team. From the bottom where we grinding. That's my team. That's my team. To the top where we shining. That's my team. That's my team.